Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Tabansi, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. So today we got a pretty interesting show for you guys. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, as you guys may know, Dr. J recently made a bit of news, right? He made some news all over the internet and sport, especially in the NBA community, where he essentially put out his top 10 greatest players list. And on this list, he left out some pretty notable names. One of the names was, of course, Kobe Bryant, and another name was, of course, LeBron James. At the time when we read it, we actually got it from a Yahoo article where he says, I have 5 guys who are untouchable: Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, Oscar Robertson, Jerry West, and Elgin Baylor. He goes, that's my all-time best team. Everybody else has to be on the second or third teams, and I've made this decision when I was 15 years old. I'm sticking with it now, all these years later. There is no order. I think West and Robinson would be in the backcourt. Elgin Baylor would be in the front court with Wilt and Russell. He then said the next group of guys would be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Michael Jordan, Irvin Magic Johnson, probably Karl Malone, and Tiny Archibald. So he puts out this list, right? And various NBA players and shows started talking about it. I was listening to Gil's Arena, and Brandon Jennings, he went off. He called Dr. J a straight hater. Gilbert Arenas says anybody who has Bill Russell on their top 10 list, or top 5 or top 10, one of the two, he's going to really question their basketball IQ. So what happened? We produced the show on this, and I said that, listen, that's his list, right? He didn't have my favorite player of all time, Kobe Bryant, on the list, but I wasn't about to lose any sleep over it because, well, it's not that deep. And I also gave the example where you had Charles Barkley, who had a totally different list. He did have Kobe, he did have LeBron, but he had them ranked at different spots. So what happened? Today, I was going through the internet and I came across a video. And in this particular video, it was an ESPN radio show. And Jay Williams was featured on there, and a young lady whose name I don't know. It's the first time I'm seeing her. But anyway, they were discussing this list, right? And as they were discussing it, here's a few things that I found that I thought were a little bit strange. First of all, they were producing the video from the vantage point of, okay, well, how could LeBron be left off of this list? Well, LeBron wasn't the only person that was left off the list that is a marquee name. Kobe Bryant was left off the list, unless you're telling me that LeBron is the only one that's worth discussing on this list, and therefore what Kobe Bryant doesn't deserve to be in the top 10. Well, you would be a flagrant idiot to say something like that. But the thing that kind of struck me was, it was like they were like almost as if they were looking for like some type of explanation. Like, well, this needs to be explained. Like, what is the meaning of this? So what we want to do is we want to play this clip for you. It's a little bit long, but I want you guys to take a listen to it in its entirety, and then we're going to come back and react to their comments. Take a listen to that.
Joy D'Angela was interviewing Dr. J, and she tweeted out that Dr. J gave his top 10 list of NBA players all time. Except for there was one notable exception, Jay, that LeBron does not make an appearance on this list. So let's go ahead and give the list to see if you have a huge problem with it. Bill Russell, Wilt, Oscar Robertson, Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, Kareem, MJ, Magic, Karl, Tiny Archibald. How are you feeling about his list?
I mean, look, Julius Erving is entitled to his own opinion. I just can't take any opinion off a top 10 list seriously if it doesn't have LeBron James in it. And neither should you. I mean, look, this is kind of like, in certain times you get a chance to ask people like, hey, like, who would your all-time favorite players be? And if they want to give you a list, that's fine. If they're your all-time favorite players, just change. If somebody were to ask you who are your top 10, just say, no, here are my all-time favorite players. It felt like it was more of that than him saying, like, let's look at it realistically. and look at it numerically, look at it where it is in history. Because if you're looking at in history, LeBron James, number 1 in points, number 32 in rebounds, number 4 in assists, number 9 in steals, threes made, number 9. I mean, 4-time NBA champion, 4-time NBA finals, 4-time NBA MVP, should have been more. 19-time All-Star, 3-time All-Star Game MVP, 13 All-NBA first team, and 3-time All-NBA second team, 3-time All-NBA third team. Come on. Like, at the end of the day, Amber, I love Dr. J. Julius is my guy, but nobody, and I repeat, nobody should take this list seriously.
I have no problem with people giving opinions and making it their own opinion when it comes to lists, right? But to your point, at some point, it just borders on absurd. Like, at some point, it's just you being so subjective. And of course, that's all lists. All lists are somewhat subjective. But at some point, you're just being so outlandishly subjective that it just doesn't even make sense. And it kind of negates the validity of the entire list. If you wanted to give me a top 5 and like maybe there's an argument for LeBron, I would never do that. To me, LeBron is a 1 or 2 in NBA history, but maybe a top 5, maybe a top 3. You could leave LeBron out of it all time. All time is a long period of time for this league. A top 10? We're just getting absurd at that point.
And the problem is, see, like, look, I got so much respect for the game in football, basketball, any sport, that I don't want things to be taken as a slight. But how Tiny Archibald, don't play.
Right.
I love him. Top 10 of all time.
I had to look up his stats because I don't remember much about Nate Archibald.
Legendary player, legendary, and I love him as a player. But top 10 of all time.
Yeah.
So it reminds me a little bit of Brandon Miller, who got drafted to the Charlotte Hornets. Right. He was like, his GOAT is Paul George, and you're like, okay, your personal opinion around who your GOAT is. But realistically, Amber, in the real world, we all know that when you're having the GOAT conversation, it's between Cap, Michael Jordan, and LeBron James. Like, right? Like, so, like, that's where we are, and that's just where it is. It's fine. I mean, fine. Good for you, Dr. J. Like, have your list. You're entitled to your list, but come on.
I mean, his 34 points per game total is the highest in NBA history at 6'1". So there's that. Like, he was 6'1", 150 pounds, and that's what he was listed as. I don't know, in the 70s, did they inflate those statistics the same way they do in 2023? So if he was 6'1", he was really, 5'11". I don't know how it worked back then. But obviously, for his height and his weight, unbelievably impressive in the NBA world. But to give you some perspective here for those who weren't around in the 70s, Nate Archibald on the top 100 list that ESPN put together, number 59. 59.
That's what I'm saying.
Not even a top 50 player all time, according to us here at ESPN.
So you heard what they had to say. Here's my only thing about this. I've noticed that some members in the media have made it this thing where it's like it's LeBron's privilege to win. It's not like he's so good that he deserves to win. He deserves to be on everybody's top 2 or whatever. And I'm like, where did this come from? Michael Jordan never got this treatment. Michael Jordan was heavily criticized until he won. And it was never like Jordan must win. What are we going to do to help Jordan win? No, can Jordan win? The same thing with Kobe. It wasn't like, oh, we're wasting this all-time talent. So what are we going to do to get help around Kobe Bryant? No, Kobe Bryant had to figure it out. But when it comes to LeBron, I think is what I'm noticing, and I think some people will concur with me. The people that don't, then that's your business. There's just coddling that the media does with LeBron. Like, they're coddling him. Oh my God, how could you say that? You don't have him on his list. So what? Kobe Bryant wasn't on the list. Now, do I agree with the list? No. But I'm not going to sit up here and be producing shows like, yo, Dr. J, you have to answer for this list. He ain't got to answer for nothing. That's his list. Whatever. You obviously know he's from a different generation. So obviously he's going to have his own thing. Now, should he have had Kobe Bryant? Probably, but so what? My thing is like, well, Dr. J needs to be addressed. Like, we need to figure this out. Why Dr. J left off LeBron? Okay, he left them off. Fine, he left them off. He left off Kobe Bryant too. If LeBron deserves to be in the top 10 list, Kobe deserves to be on the top 10 list as much. So I didn't understand what the big thing was about. But this is what ESPN does, really. ESPN is so obvious that ESPN is a left-leaning LeBron James channel. It's so obvious. Like, it's so obvious. Like, oh my God. Like, the lady was like, I don't understand why you would have Kobe Bryant in your top 5. I'm like, yo, who is this? Who are we referring to? Like, who's listening to her opinion for ball? Like, what are we talking about? Like, I don't get it. So what? LeBron could be in the top 5, Kobe can't? Based off of what exactly? Off of what? Like, based off of what? Like, so I didn't understand that, but I felt like talking about it. People going to feel a type of way, but it's all good. That's my opinion. Y'all are free to leave your comments in the comment section. So what I want to know from you guys, what do you think about this segment here? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts in the comment section, and we catch you on the next show. Peace.